Okay, so picture this. You accept the job of a maid in a farmstead in rural Germany, and on your very first day there, you finish all your chores and you go to bed, not knowing that by dawn, everybody on this farm, including you, is going to die. Because that is exactly what happened with Maria Baumgartner in 1922. Now, one thing about this story is that it's highly disturbing. Like, imagine all the trigger warnings in a book. That entire book applies to this case. There's a lot of mention of abuse and basically everything under the disturbing umbrella. And so, viewer discretion is highly advised. Let's talk about it. The story we are talking about today is the very infamous Hinterkaifeck massacre from 1922 Germany. And before this video, let me be very clear, we still don't know. Over a century later, we still have no idea who the actual murderer were, despite the very lengthy suspect list. And so, again, this video will not give you the answers, but I'll try my best to cover it and, point out what my opinion is about who the killer could have been. So let's talk about it. On 4th of April 1922, a mechanic makes his way over to the Hinterkaifeck farm, and as he reaches the main door, he knocks but nobody answers. And so he walks over to the window, he peeks inside, but again he doesn't see anyone except for the family dog running around. And so he just assumes that maybe the family is not home, or maybe they're just asleep, because again this is very early in the morning, right? So he makes his way to the backyard and he finds the motor that he came here for and he starts working on it. About a couple hours later, when he's done with his work, he makes his way back to the main door and again he knocks and there's no answer. So instead of wasting any more of his time, he just assumes that they're not home, and so he crosses the farm and he goes to the neighbor's place. Now the neighbor, his name is Lorenz Schlittenbauer, and when the mechanic comes over to him and tells him that, the family isn't answering their door, Lorenz is pretty surprised because he hadn't seen them in like 4 days. And so he tells the mechanic to go back to his work and that he'll tell the family that he was here. And so the mechanic leaves, and Lorenz, along with 2 of his sons, makes his way over to the Hinterkaifeck farm. Now, once they get there, again, they try knocking on the door, but nobody answers. And so they assume that maybe everyone is out, and so they decide that since the family dog was running around alone in the house, they decide they're gonna go inside and feed it. And so they make their way over to the barn. Now, with the way this house was laid out, if you are in the barn, you have this passage that directly connects it to the house, right? And so they decide they're just gonna go in there, and as they walk towards the barn, they see that the cattle are well fed, meaning someone is definitely home. And so they enter the barn and they start walking towards this passage, but suddenly Lorenz feels something like almost rubberish under his feet. And as he looks down, he sees something so horrifying that all 3 of them run out for a minute, and one of his sons throw up, and it takes them a minute to process what they were actually seeing. To understand what actually happened there, we need to go back just 6 months before Lorenz and his sons walked into that barn. So the family living on the Hinterkaifeck farm was the Gruber family. The family tree goes, there's a rich woman, Cecilia, who married a man, but the man died. And so one of Cecilia's servants, Andres Gruber, proposed to her and she said yes. So there's grandparents Andres and Cecilia Gruber. Both of them have a daughter together. Her name's Victoria Gruber. And then Victoria marries a man named Karl, and they have a daughter, and they name her Cecilia after Victoria's mother. And so Karl, he goes to war and then he ends up dead. And so now Victoria is a widow, and out of wedlock she has a son with this mysterious man, and she names this son Joseph. Now this mysterious man, Joseph's father, he's of prime importance to this case, but we'll talk about that in a bit. But for now, this is the family living on that farm, and they did have a live-in maid living with them. But over the past few weeks, this maid and the family members had been experiencing very strange things. Like this maid, she would often be in her servant quarters sleeping, and she would hear these footsteps coming from all over the attic, and she would ask Andres to check, but every time he did, there was just nobody there. And so this maid, she had recently given birth to a baby girl, and so she did not want to live in this house any longer than she had to. And so one day she told Andres and the rest of the family that she was resigning because the house is haunted. And so she leaves, and this puts immense pressure on the family because a lot of their livelihood depends on this woman's labor, right? And so now they have to do all of the work that she was doing, and they're already starting to notice all of the strange things that she mentioned, the footsteps, and sometimes they would hear knocking sound coming from their windows or the walls. It was as if somebody was living inside of their walls, eating their food and using their things, right? But the final straw for this family was one day Andres went out and he was trying to lock the back door when he saw there was a set of footprints that started at the woods, the edge of the woods, and it made its way over to the back door, but there was no set of footprints going back towards the woods, meaning whoever this person was currently on this property. And so immediately Andres just locked the door and he picked up his rifle and he started looking around the house to find this person, but again he just didn't find anybody. And so these 6 months pass in extreme paranoia and fear for these people, right? There's two kids. Young Cecilia is 7 while Joseph is only 2. And Victoria herself, she's going through a lot in her personal life, and we'll talk about that too. But for now, they're just living in this constant fear and paranoia. And Andres would often talk to Lorenz about all the things that are happening all around the house, right? The 6 months pass, and somehow the family manages to survive, and then finally they get some good news. They finally found a maid who was willing to come over to this place and work for them, despite knowing that the place was haunted. And so the name of this new maid was Maria Baumgartner. And so on 31st March 1922, Maria, along with her sister, they made their way over to the Gruber family house, and they went inside, and the family is really nice to them. And after a while, Maria's sister bids her bye and she leaves, right? And so Maria, she goes over to grandmother Cecilia and she asks her what she needs to do, like what are the chores that she needs to be performing in this house. And grandmother Cecilia, all day, she tells Maria everything that she will have to do, like feed the cattle or maybe help at the farm and all of that. And that night, after like finishing everything up, Maria goes to bed. Now, what happens next is highly controversial online because again, we don't know who the murderer is, and so we don't know what exactly happened in the house. But from a basic picture that the police report painted, here's what happened. The killer was said to be in the barn and he found Andres. And while fighting with Andres, this killer, he picked up a mattock that was lying there and he hit Andres across the face. And in the process, Andres' carotid artery got struck and so he bled out to death. And then it said that the killer, he simply waited in this barn for the rest of the family members to make their way over. So like the first member to come after Andres' death was Victoria. And again, this killer very brutally, he bludgeons her with this mattock. And unlike Andres, who was killed in a single strike, Victoria is thoroughly tortured. Like he beats her so hard that her face is completely disfigured, right? And so she bleeds out to death. And the next person to come in is grandmother Cecilia. And again, she is also treated with the same brutality as Victoria, and she too dies of blood loss. The next person to walk in is granddaughter Cecilia, the 7-year-old, and this is really a very disturbing part to talk about. So, trigger warning again. The thing is, she was again tortured just like her mom and her grandmother. She was beaten very brutally, and then with the mattock, her throat was sliced, right? But according to the police reports and some alleged sources online, by the state of her dressing, it was pretty clear that the killer tried to assault her in her final moments. And the autopsy report also stated that unlike her mom and her grandmom, Cecilia didn't die immediately. Like she was alive for 2 to 3 hours, and it's said that she was in so much pain that she just started plucking chunks of her own hair out of her head because this pain, it was so unbearable for her, right? And so that happens, and the killer, he leaves these bodies in the barn and he makes his way inside through that passage into the main house. He walks over to Victoria's room where baby Joseph was sleeping in his crib. And again, this is again very disturbing, but Joseph was also put through the same things that Victoria was, and so the killer, he very brutally murdered Joseph, and then he finally made his way over to the maid's quarter, where this new maid, who has no connection to this family, this is her first day here, he makes his way inside and he kills her too, with the exact same brutality as all of the four previous victims, right? And so the thing that Lawrence stepped on while they were in the barn was actually Victoria's hand that was sticking out of the hay. The killer is said to have arranged these bodies in a way where Victoria and Andres were under a pile of hay, and then grandmother and granddaughter Cecilia were under a separate pile of hay, right? And so it was Victoria's hand that was sticking out of this hay, and that's what Lawrence had stepped on. And in panic, he and his son, they removed all of that hay and they realized what they were looking at. And so immediately Lawrence, he runs inside because he knows there's a baby in the house, but unfortunately he finds little Joseph in his crib, clearly deceased. And so immediately Lawrence tells his sons to go call the cops, right? And they do. They run out, and as they're running through the village to go to the police station, every villager that they meet, they keep telling them about what had happened back at the farm. And so by the time the police actually arrives at the crime scene, tons of people are already there, walking through the crime scene, touching everything they shouldn't be touching, eating the food that was stored in the fridge. And so the crime scene was basically completely tampered by the time police officers even got there, right? And Lawrence, he was giving out the food in the family's fridge to all of these people who are here. And here's where things start to get very strange, right? Lawrence, he offered all of this food to the police officers as well, and they ate that food, right? But then in the report, they state that this killer, after murdering the entire family, this killer stayed in the house for 4 days, and their reasoning for that was the amount of food that was missing from the fridge. It was not their best effort, to say the least. But that's the cause of why this argument is always online, where everyone's saying, the killer stayed in that house for 4 days. There is a very high probability that the killer stayed for 1 or 2 days max and then left. And the amount of food that was missing because all these people and police officers themselves were eating that food, like when they were investigating the crime scene, right? And now we can talk about like the suspect list, right? So one of the main suspects, the first suspect of the list, was Carl, the man that Victoria had married, Cecile's father, right? So why was he a suspect? Well, people in the town assumed that he did not die in war, and so by the time he managed to finally come back home, he saw that Victoria already had another child, and so in a fit of rage, he just murdered the entire family. But the reason this logic is so flawed is, if it was a fit of rage, then why did he torment this family for 8 months, like 8-9 months, before actually attacking them? And why did he have to like murder the maid? The maid knew nothing, the maid wasn't even bothered, and she didn't even witness anything. She was in her room fast asleep. He didn't have to, right? And so that is the reason it is a very flawed argument to think it was Carl. Now, the second suspect on the list was Lawrence Schlittenbauer. And I know everyone was already thinking he done it. But I think I have some points that make me personally believe that he was not the murderer. Firstly, remember when I said that baby Joseph's father has great importance to this case? So, yeah, Victoria and Lawrence were having an affair, and there was a very high probability that Joseph was Lawrence's son. Now, a little bit more backstory so that everything makes sense. Andres was not very well liked in the community, and the reason he wasn't well liked is because he was a terrible person, right? Like, the money had clearly gone to his head, he was rude to everybody he met, but those were very small reasons. The main reason everyone hated him was because he was having incestuous relationships with his own daughter Victoria. When she turned 16, he started doing all of this, right? And it was so bad that even while Victoria was married to Carl, he was still doing it. And when Carl found out, he was enraged, and he was hell-bent on divorcing Victoria as soon as he could. And Victoria, her image was very tarnished in the village, right? The men thought that Victoria was very easy and very promiscuous, when in reality she was just a survivor. And it's noted that a lot of the survivors often develop this very unhealthy relationship about sex, right? And so Victoria, she approached Lorenz, but at that time he was married, and so he refused her. But then his wife died, and so he was like, you know what, now I'm taking you up on that offer. And so they were having an affair, and so there was a chance that Joseph was Lorenz's son, and Lorenz loved Victoria. He cared about her and he wanted to marry her, right? Despite the outlash that he got from the villagers and his own family. They hated the idea of him giving his name to this illegitimate child, and despite all of that, he was still ready to marry Victoria. But Andres refused to let him marry Victoria, right? And the reason was because Andres did not want anyone else to have Victoria the way he had Victoria. Basically, he did not want to stop his relations with Victoria, and so he refused to let them get married. And so there is a very high probability that Joseph was either Andres' son or he was Lorenz's son. Either way, I personally think Lorenz really cared about Victoria and Joseph, and he would never do this to them. And the third suspect on the list just makes too much sense to me. The third suspect on this list is Andres Gruber himself. Now I know, Rashi, Andres died too. What the do you mean Andres could have done this? Well, let me explain. Look at the facts. Andres was killed by a single blow to his face, right? He did not suffer. But the rest of the people in the family, all of the women and baby Joseph, were brutally tortured. Why would a killer be so merciful to a man as disgusting and as Andres, but then torture these innocent people? It did not make any sense. So my theory, and this is one of the theories that I've seen circulating online a lot, so it's not my theory, it's also like a lot of people's theory, is that Andres murdered everyone, and then he was the one living in the family house, feeding the cattle, stoking the fire, eating the food, reading newspapers and all of that. And then one day, some theories suggest that he slipped and fell on the mattock, and that's what killed him. But I don't believe in that, because Andres was buried under hay exactly like the rest of the family. I believe Lorenz went over to this place and he found Andres, he found what Andres had done, and in a fit of rage, to avenge Victoria and Joseph, he killed Andres, right? And then he buried his body there. And now I know the next question is, but why did he stay at his place after murdering his family? Well, it is said that on 31st March, meaning the day these murders occurred, there was a huge blizzard in that area, and so everybody was basically locked in. So maybe he stayed there for 2 days waiting for the snow to melt so he can go, he can run. But then by the time it did, Lorenz found him and he murdered him. That is the theory that makes the most sense to me. But again, if you think I'm missing something, if you have any other info on whatever could have happened, make sure to tell me in the comments. So that's gonna do it for this video, guys. It was a highly disturbing one and it was pretty long. Looking at it, I think it was pretty long. So if you're here, thank you for sticking around. I'm just a very new channel and I'm trying to find my people. I love talking about all of these stories, right? And so if that interests you in any way, I post 3-4 times, sometimes twice every week. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to check out the rest of my videos, and like, comment, everything that can help me grow. Thank you. Bye.